All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. The sixth day of the Israel-Gaza war is nearing an end, but there is no end to the crisis because it is in the night time that the crisis in Gaza gets worse as darkness descended on Gaza. Israel has, of course, quickened its campaign of air raids and air bombings on several infrastructural buildings. Hospitals and shelter rooms are running at this moment on generators, but in many cases, many places have also run out of fuel for generators. Gaza is in complete darkness. An estimated 1,400 Palestinians have already lost their lives. On the other side, at least 1,300 Israelis have been killed. And Israel says that it has dropped a massive 6,000 bombs in the last 6 days. That is 1,000 bombs per day that it has dropped. Many of these bombs weigh about 2,000 pounds. It's almost 1,000 kilograms in an area that is described as one of the most densely populated regions anywhere in the world. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is currently, of course, talking to the parliament, trying to convince his parliamentarians that his government knows what it is doing. Now remember, the opposition in the Israeli nation is asking for Netanyahu's scalp. The current government, however, has managed to cobble together what is being dubbed as a unity government with the opposition leader Benny Gantz. Now, this is just an emergency arrangement. What has in fact been formed is a war cabinet. Now, the leader of the main opposition party, Yair Lapid, has put forth his demands. He has called for the far-right politicians, Bezalel Smotrich and Ben Gvir, to be expelled from the government. If not, Yair Lapid might not join the emergency unity government. Now, the Israeli Defense Forces chief has released his first public statement since the war began. He's now finally admitted to serious lapses in Israel's intelligence and also its military setup that enabled Hamas to carry out the worst incursion in Israel's history by any Palestinian faction. He said, and I quote here, "The IDF is responsible for the security of the country and its citizens, and on Saturday morning in the area surrounding the Gaza Strip, we simply did not handle it. We will learn, we will investigate, but now is the time for war." This is what Halevi has said from southern Israel. He's also said that the state of Israel will do everything that it possibly can to try and bring back the hostages alive. On the battlefront, the Israeli military is preparing for a ground incursion into Gaza. Although it is yet to get a green signal from the Israeli government, at the same time, a blistering air campaign has continued relentlessly, and not one Western leader has spoken out and has called for a ceasefire yet. Israel has said that it aims to take out the group's senior leadership. Prime Minister Netanyahu has vowed to crush and destroy Hamas through his campaign of air bombings, where bombs that weigh nearly about 2,000 pounds are being dropped one after another in the densely populated neighborhoods of Gaza. In the Gaza Strip, hospitals have been overwhelmed. Thousands of buildings have been smashed to smithereens. Entire city blocks have been razed to rubble, or dozens have been killed in just the last few hours, and at this moment as we speak, at least 1,400 of the Palestinians have been killed. These, remember, just the bodies that are being pulled out of the rubble. There could be more dead who are still trapped underneath the rubble. So this is what the scene is like inside some of the hospitals in Gaza. There is a steady stream of people, young children, tiny infants, who've been bombed by the Israeli air raids, who are being brought in. These are terrible images that are coming straight out of the hospitals of Gaza. These are young children who've got nothing to do with the conflict, who've got nothing to do with Hamas, who've got nothing to do with the complex politics of the region. And yet, this is the plight that they suffer. Meanwhile, this is what Israel is up to. It is mobilizing 300,000 soldiers. This is more number of soldiers than what Russia had brought in for its incursion into Ukraine. And now, the state of Israel wants to bring in 300,000 soldiers and reservists in order to carry out a ground incursion. Its forces have begun to surround Gaza. The biggest fear now is that if the ground incursion happens, the number of fatalities is something that would be unimaginable. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.